So now that you're done the cross, you're going to want to solve the top layer, which is solving white, but in the process, solving the top of each of these sides as well. So I'm going to look on the bottom layer, which I can turn freely without disturbing the cross, for a piece that I want to put in, a white corner. And corners have 3 stickers, like this one here. This one has a white sticker on it, so it's one of the ones we're looking for, but we have to keep in mind that there is also a green and a red sticker on it. So we're not going to just put it in randomly, because that's not right there. We're going to want to put it into the right place. We're going to want to put it between this green-white limb of the cross and this red-white limb of the cross. So that's what a corner looks like when it's solved. All 3 sides match up. Now sometimes you're not going to have any white pieces on the bottom, like so. And don't panic. All you do is you use one of the sequences I'm about to show you and put in a random corner, say this one. And now you've got a corner on the bottom that you can work with and put it into the right place. So when you solve the top layer, white will be done, and so will the tops of all of these, matching up with the centers, of course. So I'll show you those sequences now. The next step in the solution is to solve the middle layer, and since the 4 centers in the middle layer have already been solved from when we did the cross, all we need to worry about are the 4 edges that make up the middle layer. So I'm going to look on the bottom layer for an edge that makes up the middle layer, and I can still freely manipulate the bottom layer without disturbing what I've already done. So the sequences I'm about to show you, the setup is you take the sticker that is not on the bottom face, so this sticker here, and you put it under the correct center, and then you look which way it needs to go. There's an algorithm for left and there's an algorithm for right. So it doesn't need to go left because it's green-red and that's green-orange. It needs to bridge between green and red. So I execute the algorithm. Now sometimes, just like with the corners, you're not going to have any pieces to work with on the bottom layer. I do right now. But if you didn't, all you would need to do would be to use a random algorithm and put in a random edge, and then you'd have something to work with. Sometimes edges are in the right place but in backwards. That's really easy to fix. Put in a random edge and then put the edge in the correct way, and it's solved. So I'll show you those sequences now. So now that you've solved the first 2 layers, you're going to want to solve the last layer, which is the next step in the solution. And before we start this step, I need to explain the difference between positioning and orientation. So this corner is correctly positioned. See, it is yellow, orange, green, and it's between the yellow, orange, and green centers. But the colors don't match up. So it is in the right place, but its orientation is incorrect. So this step is corner positioning. We're not worrying about whether the colors are on the right sides, just as long as the piece itself is in the right place. So the sequence I'm about to show you swaps the 2 corners on the right and leaves the 2 corners on the left in the same place. What you're going to be looking for is 2 adjacent pieces with something in common other than the color of the bottom face. So all of these corners are going to have yellow in common, but we're looking for something else. So these 2 pieces, as you can see, have blue in common. So we're going to turn the bottom face so that they're underneath blue and check whether they need to be swapped. So that's orange-blue, and this is the red-blue corner area. So we need to swap these 2. So we hold them on the right, and then I'll show you that algorithm in a second. It swaps these 2. And then we check the other 2, and they also need to be swapped. Sometimes they won't, sometimes they will. In this case they do. Put them on the right and execute the algorithm. And the next step is corner orientation. I'll show you the algorithm for corner positioning now. The next step in solving the last layer is corner orientation, and I explained orientation to you a little earlier. We're trying to get the yellow sticker on all of the corners to be on the bottom face. So there are actually 7 possible cases other than the corners being correctly oriented, all of them. And for this solution, we only need to be able to recognize from 3 different types of cases. So the first is that there are no corners that are yellow on the bottom. There are no correctly oriented corners. And for that case, we're going to put a yellow sticker here on the left. That's how we're going to hold the cube. And we're going to perform the first of the 2 algorithms. And that will take us to the third possible case. The second is that there are 2 correctly oriented corners and 2 incorrectly oriented corners. And for that case, we are going to hold it so that there's a yellow sticker here, and we're going to perform the first of the 2 algorithms. So now both cubes have the third case, which you have to be able to recognize, and that is 3 incorrectly oriented corners and 1 correct. So the 2 algorithms either rotate the 3 corners clockwise or 3 corners anti-clockwise. So to rotate clockwise, we're going to perform the second algorithm. And that fixes the corners. The same as for this cube. There are 3 incorrectly oriented corners and 1 correct. This time we're going to have to rotate them clockwise, so we're going to perform the first of the 2 algorithms. And the corners are correctly oriented, and I'll show you those algorithms now. Now that the corners are correctly oriented, we're going to want to get the edges on the last layer correctly oriented. So there are 2 algorithms. One is for 2 adjacent and one is for 2 opposite. And I'm going to show you both of those. Sometimes you're going to have all 4, then just do either adjacent or opposite, and then do the correct one after that. So you'll have to do it in 2 steps if you have 4 correct or incorrectly oriented edges. So you hold them on the bottom face and then perform the appropriate algorithm, and the bottom will be yellow. Same as for opposite, fairly simple, just follow the sequences that I will show you now. So the final step in solving the Rubik's Cube is edge positioning. This is a 3 cycle of edges. Sometimes you're going to have to move 4 edges, in which case just do this algorithm randomly, send a random edge anywhere, and then you will have a 3 cycle case. So I'm going to hold the middle of the 3 in front of me, keeping in mind that it has to travel left, so it's going anti-clockwise. Turn the front face twice, and then turn the bottom in the direction that the middle edge should go, so towards green to the left. Now we're going to turn the middle down, bottom twice, middle up again. Now we're turning the bottom the same direction we turned it the first time, so we were sending green this way. We're turning it left, and then front twice. Same as for this one, middle edge in front of us. Now it's going to the right, middle down, bottom twice, middle up, turning it to the right again, turn the front twice, and the cube is solved.